To address the issues facing Tennesseans today, from 10 News, this is Inside Tennessee.
Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker. This marked another turbulent week in Tennessee politics. Session wrapped up almost 2 weeks ago. This is supposed to be wind down time for state lawmakers, but it has been quite the opposite. A phone text scandal engulfed the office of the Speaker. First, his chief of staff admitted using cocaine in a state office building. Then came a series of racist and demeaning texts about women. Following those revelations, Cade Cothran resigned. Speaker Glen Casada apologized for exchanging 2 texts, but he emphasized the exchanges happened 3 years ago. And this week, the Speaker continued to dismiss calls from fellow Republicans and the Black Caucus to resign. House Republicans set a meeting Monday to talk about their confidence in Speaker Casada. Former Governor Bill Haslam had this to say about the Speaker this week.
I think Glenn has to ask himself, is remaining in position as Speaker the best thing for the state?
Joining us to talk about the impact of this scandal and moving ahead are a couple of lawmakers from our area. One of the most powerful and longest serving leaders, the head of the Senate, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here with you.
And we also have freshman Representative Dave Wright from the Knoxville area. Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, and I'm going to introduce our panel and we'll get started with questions. Dennis Francis is on the end there. He is a Democrat and also runs his own firm. Susan Richardson Williams. Didn't want to say good morning. Is a Republican and she runs her own PR firm.
Good morning, John.
Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
You may have to nudge Francis once in a while. And then John North is here, my colleague at WBI.
Morning, John.
Morning. All right, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, let's start with you. You are the head of the Senate. You have worked with Speaker Casada, and let's just recap what you said this week. You think this is the time for him to at least step down as Speaker?
I do. I feel like that with everything that's gone on, it would be best for the whole state as well as the House if he were to step down from that position.
And Representative Wright, how do you feel?
The feelings that I have are still in development. Actually, what has come out actually occurred after the session had closed. And then over the last week or so, we see everything that's come out. Maybe we haven't seen everything that's going to come out, so I believe there's going to be a caucus meeting tomorrow, and I just have to do my 200 miles and listen to the facts.
And let's talk a little bit more in depth for people who don't understand what a caucus meeting is and what goes on there. This is a meeting that is not open to the public, and as I understand it, you could, as Republican caucus members, take a vote of confidence or no confidence in the Speaker, and that would be by secret ballot. Is that correct?
As I understand it, that would be the way it would happen. Familiar more with the Roberts Rules of Order, being on County Commission. Being the state legislature, it's Mason's Rules of Order, and I believe it will be a very parliamentarian presentation.
And if indeed the Speaker is given a no confidence vote, if a secret ballot is taken, do you think that he should step down there if a majority say they don't have confidence in the Speaker?
And see, I don't know what the rules are. It may be that vote would be the deciding factor.
As I understand it, you have to bring the House in session. Is that true, Lieutenant Governor McNally?
I believe you would.
And you vote and then that would be a public vote.
Right.
Okay.
Just following up, because John raises an interesting question. So tomorrow, who leads that meeting?
I would say it's the caucus leader because it's the Republican caucus.
Cameron Sexton, I believe,
That's correct.
is the caucus chairman.
A strong ally of.
Well, he's a part of the current leadership, right?
And I'm glad you raised that, John, because we have heard people suggest that he should step down, but I haven't heard close ally or committee chair say that he should step down. Have either of you heard from someone who is one of his closest colleagues say it's time to go?
As far as I'm concerned, I need to admit that I have talked to no one about what's going on. I've read what's in the newspaper. I've got text messages saying there's going to be a meeting, and I'm left to listen to the evidence whenever we get there.
Senator, anything you can add to that as far as his closest colleagues saying it's time to go?
Well, I believe Bill Dunn has, who's the Speaker Pro Tem, which is part of leadership. There's a Majority Leader, Majority Caucus Chairman, and the Speaker Pro Tem all make up the leadership. But I know Bill Dunn has come out.
He has, and certainly some could make the argument, well, he has something to gain because he would become the de facto speaker at least for a time. But
I have heard Bill Dunn say that he's not really interested in being speaker. He would take over if they voted Casada out. But I have heard him say in the past week or so that that is not anything that he aspires to. So it would be really interesting, though, if we had Randy McNally and Bill Dunn as the Speaker in the House for a period of time. It would bring some of that power back to East Tennessee that we lost when Williamson County sort of took over the legislature and the governor's office. But Randy, I want to ask you, one of Cade Cothran, that was the chief of staff, was quoted as, or it was written in the paper that he was making right at $200,000 a year, which frankly shocked me, somebody that has been down there and held office several times in different governors' administrations. Is that normal now, or was that something that was really way over the top for a salary?
For a chief of staff, it also depends on their experience and how long they've been down there, but that's pretty much the going rate for a chief of staff.
So that just surprised me a lot, because I didn't have any idea that state was paying that kind of money. There was another employee that Casada had, a guy named Michael Lofty, I think, who was apparently making $50,000 a year, but never came to the office. Dave, I'll ask you, did you run into this guy?
I did not run into that person, no.
And he's resigned, I understand, this week. So,
He has.
yeah, so more bodies are falling along the way.
well, and clearly this story has dominated the last few weeks, but there was a lot done this session in the way of legislation, and we're going to dive into that with both these lawmakers and talk to Representative Wright about his freshman year. It's always great when you're drinking from a fire hose, and we'll have more of that conversation when we come back.
While the house is burning.
Yeah.